Let's do it. So hi, everybody. I'm Sean Sheehy, and Emily is going to spotlight me to make sure that I'm your primary window.
Well, and you know, oh, there you are. Sorry.
And I am the director of the Movable Book Society, and I'm super delighted to be holding our first ever Zoom show and tell. And when we, of course, had to great idea to do something like this, just Emily, can you do a quick mute everybody?
Yep.
Emily is going to mute all of you so that I can steal the stage here for a few more moments. So basically it's, let me jump into logistics here. We are going to have, and I kind of had a stand-up comedy structure behind this. I love to watch stand-up comedies. So we've got 7 folks who are going to do a 5-minute set, and then Massimo Misseroli is going to have his headliner 15-minute set, which you're going to see as a recorded video. It's terrific. And we're going to keep the sound muted for everybody for the whole hour. Chat is open, and you're all welcome for sure to chat as you like. And we're going to leave the chat open for an extra half an hour after we're done so that conversation can continue. We are not operating under security protocols currently, so that we can make it as easy as possible for as many different people who want to be here. And of course, there's this mild risk that someone bomb us, and Emily and I are ready to jump in and stop that should that happen. But just so you know, if it does, we're on it. All right, I'm looking at my list. Let's do a proper intro to Emily Martin, is co-hosting today, and she's running the tech while I'm running the talk. Say hello, Emily.
Hello.
Emily's also admitting everybody, so she's concentrating on that for the moment.
All right.
And I'm going to show you the t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. This very shirt that I bought at bestpopupbooks.com. It's the name I'm pointing to right there. You guys all know Jean-Paul Leconte, who runs bestpopupbooks.com. He's got tons of cute t-shirts. This is just one of them. This was my favorite. And it's also the t-shirt teaching a workshop last night. So if you were there last night, know that I did take this off in between. Emily, let's jump into it. Emily is our co-host, but she's also our first presenter. And Emily, longtime member and maker and faculty member, and she's got some good stuff for you. Emily, to you.
Okay, so I'm removing you with the spotlight video. I have made a video of what I'm going to present. So I'm going to share screen, which is going to happen periodically for some of our presenters. Some people are presenting live. So I'm going to go to that. And we're going to play this, hopefully. Oscar Wilde, In Earnest and Out, is an artist's book by me, Emily Martin. And I became aware of Oscar Wilde's plays in college when I took a class where we studied them. He was celebrated during his time in the late 1800s as a writer of all sorts, and in particular as a playwright. He was at the height of his celebrity when he was accused of being a sodomite, sued, and not only lost the suit, but was then convicted of committing acts of gross indecency with other male persons under Section 11 of the 1885 Criminal Law Amendment Act. and this act was not fully repealed in England until 2003. The Importance of Being Earnest was one of his most famous plays. It's a social commentary and very witty, and it has a number of characters who trade lines with each other throughout the play. And this artist book is a series of novels in which Oscar and 5 of the characters from his play have a dialogue of sorts, using lines from the play, and then Oscar's lines are all from other of his writing. Algernon. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Oscar. The public have an insatiable curiosity to know everything except what is worth knowing. Lady Bracknell. To lose one parent may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both seems like carelessness. And Oscar, morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people we personally dislike. Miss Prism. The good end happily, and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means. Oscar. Experience is the name everyone gives to their mistakes. Jack. It is a terrible thing for a man to find out suddenly that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. And Oscar. Most people are other people. Their thoughts are someone else's opinion, their lives a mimicry, their passions a quotation. Gwendolyn. In matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. And Oscar. To get into the best society nowadays, one has either to feed people, amuse people, or shock people. That is all. Oscar Wilde served 2 years of hard labor in prison, and he emerged in broken health, impoverished, and cut off from his family. He exiled himself to France and died 3 years later, in November 1900. His plays have never gone out of print and are regularly staged in theatrical productions and films. Oscar Wilde's pointed observations are as apt now as when he first put pen to paper.
We interrupt to bring you this special report.
Hello everyone, I'm R. John Green reporting from MBS Studios in Cedar Falls, Iowa. We have breaking news. Reginald Green, movable book collector, has found very few pop-up books featuring African Americans, diversity themes, or multicultural centered themes. We have a live hookup of Mr. Green in his home. Mr. Green, tell us about your pop-up book collection and why it is so difficult to find African American or Black themed books. Yes, I would be happy to. Although it's been easy for me to fill my personal library and professional readings with copious numbers of history, fiction, children, art, sport, and social issues, publications centered on race. Pop-up books are conspicuously lacking in number for two reasons, in my view. One, publishers, for numerous reasons, think non-white pop-up books don't sell. Secondly, authors and artists of color don't see opportunities in the genre. Also, there does not appear to be many Black, brown, or native paper engineers. Well, why is that a big deal now? What is different now is white people are becoming more aware of the social, health, and political climate in which we are all living. America is going through another self-examination. What we claim to be as a country is not always the way we act. I want to do my part to be sure that folks understand how race works in our lives. So this MBS special report is designed to raise the consciousness of our MBS viewers. You get the mountain fold right on the nose. Recently, Sean Sheehy, artist and president of the Movable Book Society, asked me if I had any African American pop-up books in my collection that I would be willing to share. I knew I only had a few, so I told him I would look and get back to him. There was one book that immediately came to mind, A Street Called Home. If a book rates high on two of the criteria, I might likely add it to my collection. But Amina Robinson's book rated high on all five of my criteria. I think we have some video on A Street Called Home. Could you comment? Besides meeting my collecting criteria, this book has special personal meaning for me. I grew up in what was at the time a Black suburb of Columbus, Ohio. And the street that is the focus of this book, Mount Vernon Avenue, is the center of the Black community in Columbus. The multimedia style of the artist intertwines history, geography, and biography in this accordion flap movable book. May I share another book from my collection? Why not? Copyrighted in 1995, David Shannon illustrated a true pop-up book titled African Folktales. The book is only 4 1/4 inches by 2 7/8 inches by 1 inch thick. The 33-minute cassette contains the readings of the folk tales in the book. Readings are done by Ken Talley and music by Wayne Faust. Design and paper engineering by Roger Culberson. We now return you to your regular show.
This has been an MBS special report. MBS News is brought to you by those little chocolate cookies with the white stuff in.
Okay. We should be back to it.
I neglected, because I had to cut out some dialogue, but I neglected to say that I'm certainly interested in inviting anyone who is interested in finding for people, particularly in the pop-up movable book area, to certainly feel free to join me in that pursuit.
Reg, could you give the two titles of those books again, please?
African folk tales and A Street Called Home. And I noticed someone put up a link for the artist that who's a very interesting African American artist from Columbus, Ohio, and has a very dynamic way that she works with. Her collection is in the Columbus, or a good portion of her collection is in the Columbus Art Museum. That if you're interested, you could look her up.
Super. Kyra is taking care of throwing links up. So thanks, Kyra, for throwing those in. Great, thanks, Reg. We're gonna shuffle along. That was super fun to watch. Enjoyed the cookies disappearing. Enjoyed the cookies. And so we're going to be hearing from Karen and Mauricio next. Karen, also a collector, and Karen has recently donated her collection to the University of Michigan in Dearborn. And they're gonna have a big old show at the beginning of next year. Karen has also prepared a video. So Emily, cue the video.
Okay, and I'm going to put the spotlight on Karen, and I'm going to take over the screen again and start.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Mauricio. I'm a retired reference research librarian. I did that for about 30 years. I currently give art lectures and I'm a pop-up book collector. I've been asked to be a guest curator of an exhibit of my pop-up books, and we're calling it Innovation and Inspiration, the Art of Paper Engineering. And this is going to be held at the University of Michigan, Dearborn, Stamulus Art Center, and it opens on January 21st of next year. I'm very excited about this, and I'd like to thank the Movable Book Society for contributing money toward the exhibit. I began collecting pop-up books about 35 years ago, and my first book was Robert Sabuta's The Wizard of Oz. And I believe the next day I went out and bought Alice in Wonderland. I soon started collecting, but one of the fifth or sixth book that I bought was One Red Dot by David Carter, and that was a game changer for me. I was completely taken by his books and his abstract style, his very complex paper folding, and everything about his books spoke to me, and I started collecting his books. And at that point, I decided that the focus of my collection will be quite narrow and only collect books that have modern designs, somewhat maybe more different or complicated paper folding techniques, storyline, anything that's a little bit out of the ordinary. And I've collected about 125 books, which is nothing compared to a lot of the collections out there, but of course it does have a very narrow focus. About 10 years ago, I watched a documentary, Between the Folds, and I was introduced to the world of Eric Demain, Robert Lang, and Peter Jackson. They started talking about how they use folding techniques and how these have been utilized in different fields, mostly in science and technology. And I was astonished by this, and I thought, an idea popped up in my head, and I thought, gosh, I wonder if my pop-up books would have anything to do with this. So I started some research, and I found many articles of the direct connection of inspiration from pop-up books, paper folding, origami, and kirigami folding styles, and how these folding styles are being utilized in many fields of technology, science, medicine, business. It was very inspiring. And a lot of applications include folding satellites in space, folding kayaks. There have been medical stents, foldable, that fold out, that go into the body. There's lots of creative packaging and ready-to-use structures, building structures that they deliver them. There's a box. It opens up to, they deliver these places to people in need, and they just pop up and they're ready to use. The books were sitting on my shelf, and I thought, I don't like that. I'd like to give the books away, and I heard someone say one time, what you give away, you keep forever. And so I contacted the University of Michigan Dearborn Mardigian Library, and we had a meeting. They understood what I wanted and enthusiastically accepted the collection, and they've been fantastic. Laura Cotton, who is the curator of the Stamalos Gallery, asked me if I'd like to have an art exhibit of the books, and I said absolutely, and she has been fantastic, and we've been working very, very hard on this. My passionate goal for the exhibit is for students and the surrounding community, and especially the students, to come in, and I'm hoping that it will inspire some type of thought or innovation in their field of study, again, in engineering, robotics, medicine, business, and they will come in and be inspired by the collection and also inspire them to go into the collection and look at the collection and see if there's something that will inspire them. We also have two artists that are going to be with us. Lynn Avadenka, who's a book artist, and she's a printmaker. She's contributing 3 books. And Matthew Richmond, who is an avant-garde fashion designer, who is going to design a paper dress specifically inspired by the books in the exhibit. We'll also have kiosks and tablets and video screens for further information. And we're also utilizing some art pieces in the collection that will go with the pop-up books. Before I end, I would like to encourage you to go to the website before the exhibit starts. As we know, we're in a new world during this pandemic, and we don't know what's going to happen. So if you could go to the website before we open, that'd be great. I'd love to have you come. Thank you so much for having me participate. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Karen. Emily, let's do a quick remuting of everybody before we jump over to Isabel.
Okay. We should all be muted.
All right, and I've unmuted myself, and let's unmute Isabel. And Isabel is coming up next. Isabel Uria is a maker, and Isabel is also a board member of the Movable Book Society. There's Isabel. And I wanted to throw into the mix of things today an opportunity that we don't have at the conference, which is to visit someone in their studio and see what a paper engineer's studio looks like. So Isabel, show us your
hello,
place.
everyone. Don't judge me for my messiness. Literally, this is the nicest it's looked in probably over a month. So I'm gonna walk you through it. Now I'm gonna put the camera, I'm gonna go out. And this is my house. So it's actually the basement part of my house, which is kind of cool, but it's got some nice windows, or one nice window, I guess. But here we go. So when you walk in, you see here, I'm gonna flip you. Want to see my door on my crazy wall of random things and mailing, postage and such. Some very old artwork right there. And as you walk in, I'm just gonna go 360 here. We got paper, stuff on the wall. And then we have my cutting machine right there. Well, an old Graph Tech. And my desk where I sit, well, the headquarters there looks like like an airplane almost. There's so many screens there. And we got my new laser cutter up there in the back with some more paper containers, I guess, more paper shelves in there. And all of my different types of utensils and things. Somebody just asked, what's the laser cutter? It's a Glowforge. So I got it a few years ago. And then I've got kind of the laptop kind of controls the Glowforge over there. You get through send files. It's just easier that way. I got my little clock there, and it's a small studio. It's just a very large room in an apartment, but it actually works really well for me. The laser cutter used to be connected actually to the window because I didn't have the fancy schmancy filter unit. Now I have it, so we're all good. And here in the windowsill, actually, is where I kind of just pull up all the stuff I've been working on. So that's always kind of fun. A couple of the, I guess, highlights, and you can see me, I know, on both screens. Sorry about that. But a couple highlights right now is I'm trying to work on, for anybody familiar with sports or Philadelphia, that's a little gritty over here. Trying to work on a little pop-up where he pops up. It's in the progress, so I'm not going to open it and close it at the moment. And then, of course, I've got all the prototypes of the projects that I've recently been working on over here. Some actually pretty old pieces. This is from a few months back, and it's I was laser cutting all these little hearts, and I have them all set up. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of little boxes, so you always find boxes within boxes in my studio. But what I'm doing with those is and you can probably see it on both cameras, but I'm here. Let's see if I can show them to you over here. It's a little kind of burst, little heart burst of multiple hearts of multiple colors. And then one of the other highlights is I'm working on this pomelo.
Isabel, quick interruption. We didn't see what you just did.
The spotlight is just on the
Oh, sorry. Okay, then let's do this. Since you've seen the studio, I'm gonna flip my camera. There we go. And we'll set you up right here. Can you see me? Yeah. Yep. So little hearts that I showed you earlier, as I said, kind of needed to have this, but I like boxes within boxes and more boxes on top of that. So there's these little hearts that I've been working on, and they're all little laser cuts. And out of that, I actually made this little burst of hearts that you open. And just kind of, and it mixes a lot of my love for paper origami along with pop-ups. But I'm working on making something like this that fits in a box. For now, I just have the pop-up thing. Then that's kind of an older piece a few months ago, but right now, as I was saying, some of the stuff on my desk is I've been working on this play for a Canadian theater firm, and it's called Pomelo. And maybe some people in Europe might know it. It's actually from a French writer. And if anyone's interested on the names, right there, Ramona Badescu. I hope I'm not butchering the name. Benjamin Sean, one of the author and illustrators. And they, and the whole story of Pomelo is a little tiny elephant. And I'm making the props for this. So a Canadian firm has taken over the story, has gotten the rights to do a little theater for kids. And so kind of most of my prototypes up here that I showed you earlier are about that. So they just kind of pile up. So I'll just grab a couple here.
Isabel, this is your red light beeping. Time is almost up.
Okay. So snowflake. There's a lot more stuff that's gonna go in there, and this one is actually really cool because it goes like that, and then as you open it, it just starts. This was a little broken, a little meshed up, but it just opens into a little. And this thing is the dandelion that the elephant's in love with. So been working on that. Those are some of the prototypes that you see here. Shout out before my time is up, Sean, if you would allow me. I'm going to
do it.
I have as like kind of a giveaway today. If anyone is interested, I have gotten into making stickers. And so based on the times that we're living in, I made a little heart in black and decent holographic sticker there. I made like a little stay-at-home sticker. And of course, because of the times that we're a little Black Lives Matter, you know, I'm with you. I support the cause. These are for free. So I have about 7 of them of each. 2 of them I can mail. Since it's just a little thing, you know, let me know if you really want to stick one in your notebook or in your sketchbook. Let me know. We'll send one your way. So
You're about to get 99 emails, Isabel.
I only have 21 stickers, guys.
I know.
Right.
I'm recognizing the map here.
Look in the chat, Isabel, and take people's names. So
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Thanks, Isabel. Thanks. That was
Okay.
super.
back
Super.
to Sean. We should.
Back to me. And I am going to throw you now over to Dennis Froman. And Dennis, I'm so delighted. Dennis, just out of the blue, last week saying, hey, just in case anyone is interested, I started recording some videos of my collection, and they're on YouTube and they're shareable. So let's go to Dennis. And Dennis, let's hear a few words about what you got going on.
All right. Well, I've been collecting pop-up books for 40 years. I think I've been a movable, excuse me. I've been collecting pop-up books for some 40 years, and I've been a member of the Movable Book Society almost from its beginning, but I've never come to a conference, so I've never gotten to meet most of you people. It's a pleasure being on this. During the lockdown, I, in a fit of boredom, decided I had collected nearly 1,000 books over the years, and it was time to share them with some of my friends. And so I began doing quick little video introductions by topic and posted them on Facebook. And about the time I contacted Sean, I should make them more widely available. I put them onto YouTube. So by now I've created 4 titles. One was an introduction, one's on Disney, one's on art book sex, and I'm about to do another one, and we'll keep doing them. And I think, Sean, you have something teed up to show from that collection. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
Emily's got her art
Okay.
video.
Great.
Hi, today's topic is art and pop-ups. Not art that's three-dimensional like this James Ritzy behind me, but pop-up books about art and by artists. Let's go take a look at some of them. Today in the vault, we have several titles that involve artists and their pop-up work. Included among these titles are ones on Escher, Parrish, Rockwell, Da Vinci, Red, Grooms, Monet, and a book about art that pops up. Let's take a closer look at some of these titles. Here's a walk through Monet's garden, fully popping up, showing greenhouses and pathways and trees. Next to that, we have Red Grooms Rodeo, an incredible pop-up with all sorts of fun action from this wonderful artist. Continuing a closer look, here's a scene, a very famous scene by Maxfield Parrish in 3D. Next to it, a 3D version of one of Escher's Mobius strips. Moving back several centuries, we go to a 3D version of The Last Supper. And then completely different into the 20th century is this wonderful piece. So far, we've looked at mass-produced pop-up books, but there's also a wonderful category of handmade and limited edition books. Here is one that was produced only in quantity of 125, a lovely carousel kind of book. It's called St. Ostrich in Manhattan, The Visitations of a Martyr from 1990. And in another 1990 title, I have Beth Thielen's Words Spoken in Prison to an Artist. This is probably my most valuable pop-up book. It was produced in a limited edition of 10 handmade copies. I think the bulk of the rest of them are in major museums. Beth was an artist working in California prisons. Each of these pop-ups was conceived and imagined by talking to one of the women prisoners that she was teaching art to. It's a very thought-provocative book, as well as having beautiful artistry and imagery. Well, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this pop-up tour of art in 3D.
Super.
Glad you gave me a chance to show it off. Thanks.
Absolutely. Kyra put Dennis's YouTube channel into the chat feed. So if you're interested in seeing Dennis's other videos, grab that URL and go take a look. They're very engaging. I haven't looked at the sex one yet myself, but Dennis recommends it. So, if you need some spice later this afternoon, that may be a thing. Thanks, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You added on time lapse. Perfect. Good.
All right, so we're bumping over to Larry Seidman now. Larry, longtime board member of the Movable Book Society, and as we say, collector of note. Larry has an amazing collection. He has worked so hard to figure out what he's going to show you today in his 5 short minutes. What is he going to show us? Larry, go, show us. Larry, you're muted right now. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, now you're on.
Okay, great. So, I'm a pediatrician, so this is the pop-up 3D kid. Sample. This was the very first pop-up book I got in 1982. That's Pinkowski's Robot. It's a classic. Really like this working out. Next, in the robot theme, this is an excellent book called Action Robots. And it has, in the last picture, really cool. And then as you move the arm, the head will turn from side to side. So that's pretty cool. That's one of my favorites, has string. Next, brings a snowman. Ron Vandermeer did the pop-up. No text, but really graphically wonderful. Next is Ben's Box. Also, Michael Foreman. Wonderful pop-ups.
There you're getting lots of wows, and that's cools. Good reaction.
I like the books that very little text and a lot of pictures because I was a very poor reader as a kid. So I liked looking at pictures, but I never got a pop-up book. This King Arthur is great action. Lots of fun. And you get to stab the guy with lots of blood spurting. Can you see that? Okay.
Yes.
Next, this is an early David Carter book, Surprise Party. It's probably hard to get nowadays, but back then, this was before he had the bugs in the box, but still graphically really good. Used to get this at the cutout bins at Books A Million. I don't know if they're still in business. But you can see this from 1990, his talent. Next.
Larry, let's take a quick pause. Larry. There's a question from Ellen. Is the artwork behind you yours?
No, that's Robin's mother. And I'm in Long Island, and she did watercolors. So it's a lovely watercolor by Robin's mom, Marilyn.
Question quick, Larry. Hold up the robot book once more, super quick.
I will at the end, but it's in a big
Okay.
pile at the bottom, so you'll have to bear with me.
Got
Circus. This is a great circus book. Massimo can talk about his circus book, and then this is another circus book. It's wonderful. It's just called Circus, but graphically really nice. Pirate Ship. $360. The Pop-Up Games book and Magic Tricks, if you haven't seen this, by Ron Vandermeer from the 1980s. Very clever. I like games. I like magic. And so you can actually take a penny and pull it up and then try to shoot it into the different holes. So kind of an action book. Same type of thing with the Magic Tricks. He issued these. So some bonus ones, Chuck Murphy's great Alphabet Magic with color changing. He had a couple of these. That acetate slides. Fungus the Bogeyman, classic, Raymond Briggs. And then we'll finish up with the spider. This is a tarantula. When I was in college, my professor used to run tarantulas on the treadmill. So they're almost this big. So
Nice.
how'd I do? 5 minutes? Boom.
Larry, you're amazing. You're amazing. Okay, show us the cover of the robot book, please.
Okay. Robots, the one with the cool one. This one?
The one with the arm?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
With the
yes,
arm
The
that-
arm.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, we'll do it again.
And show the cover so people can write down the
Okay,
name.
it's called Action Robots. Reeve and Gavin McLeod. Dial Publications. David Hawcock did it. 1995. One of my favorite all-time books. It's got the string and then the head moves. Amazing.
It's amazing.
Never attempt it again. Why would you? You'd have to be crazy.
All right, and Katie Smith, who's going to be presenting at the conference and is a conservator in Florida and Gainesville. She would do a quick or a slow rather open of the yeah.
Of which?
That.
This one?
Yeah.
That one that you're
Okay,
holding
yeah,
right
I'll
now. Yeah.
stand up and then Robin will see. It's almost life size.
Thanks, Robin.
Anytime.
3D Kid, a life-size pop-up guide to your body, how it works. That's a Roger Culbertson and Robert Margley's production.
And now do a slow close, Larry, so we can see how it is.
Okay. It has Velcro on the inside that it, closes. How does it close? Get back to you on that. Wow, it was easier to open than to close. Well, I don't know. Now you got me stumped.
Funny.
All right. Video.
I'll have to figure it out and let you know.
Okay,
All right,
that's
thanks.
a deal. Thank you, Larry. You've got so many great treasures. So many great treasures. Woo! All right. We have next on the list Suzanne Carr Schmidt, who's a fellow Chicagoan. Woo, Chicago! I ride my bike past Suzanne's house whenever I go to the bank and the post office. And Suzanne, of course, is our keynote for for the next conference, and she's a book historian, and she's at the Newberry Library, also here in Chicago. And another exciting opportunity here, because Suzanne can show us some live model things that she wouldn't be able to except on screen at the conference. So Suzanne, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sean. I don't know how I can compete with Larry, but I do have some anatomy. This is from I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but this is from 1538. But it's a copy. All of the historical work I do, I try to build the models to see if I understand how they work. So there's a whole bunch of broadsides as well as illustrations and books that have flaps or dials. And I don't know, we'll probably get into some really good arguments at the conference over whether these are really popping up or not. But I think they have a lot of movement. So 1538. Lady with many layers down here, a little bit like the kid. It was a really good time for playing with printing, especially because the Protestant Reformation started kicking into gear, and you'd find little devils under choir robes. Sometimes you'd find courtesans with liftable skirts. Let me see if I can do this better here. There we go. Yep, there she is. Wolf in sheep's clothing, and this is a double flap here. So
hold that a little higher.
Yeah,
Suzanne.
sorry, there we go.
There you go.
Yep, thanks. So monk, wolf, monk again, eating the house.
Can I jump in for a minute?
Sure.
What you're talking about are movables, and so they are part of the genre at large, but there's a pop-ups and movables.
I know that's why I'm saying we could probably have a long discussion about that.
Right.
But what I'm showing today is examples that I've tried to recreate for the purpose of researching the early days of paper engineering. Yeah, Pope is the devil. Yep, that's a pretty good one. This is like 1560s. For the dials, they go back as far as 1450s maybe. Here's some monkeys. You can see the sort of the midsection keeps shifting. I mean, I think that's actually pretty great for a woodcut, hand colored from the 15th century. And there are only two even remotely similar examples of that survive inside books. And then you also get the spinning head broadside. So I don't know if you can see this guy. So you've got a fool, and then it goes around, and you get Durer's Death Devil. There's that monk again, and so forth. So I mean, there's just a lot of creativity going on in this period. I did post. It has a lot of these images, but it's not readily available. I think that's me, some of those. But if you want to go really pop up, I think no one will think this belongs in a book. But part of what my research, it's interactive and sculptural printmaking in the Renaissance. A little bit of a mouthful. It was my dissertation. But you also go from 2D to 3D and make scientific objects, so instruments. So let me say, so here is a sundial that you basically turn into a cone. That's a print inside it. This was a model for an exhibition on scientific at Harvard.
Suzanne, this is your red blinking light.
Column. And I just wanted to finish. I did commission a Volvel once with a Green Dolphin Press, and so it's based on Albrecht Durer's knots. So it says, so help us tie the knot. So that was actually my wedding invitation. So I hope I have some bona fides to be part of this group. And the return card. You had a little barrel lid here that could get cut off, and You see inside, there's a little couple inside the barrel. So I don't know. I hope I'm still allowed to be part of the group, even if I'm hazy on the pop-up versus flap element. Anyway, thanks, Sean.
Suzanne, you are absolutely welcome.
Yes, I have put the full title of Sue's book up in the chat, and Kyra has also put up her Twitter, so you can follow her there. And you can come to Denver.
Yeah, I should be doing a takeover of Atlas Obscura next Friday with Renaissance pop-ups. If it's actually when it is, I'll let Sean know to share that. Okay, but more flaps and dials.
So we're going to see a lot more from Suzanne here. That'll be super great. Quick question from Ellen also. If she wanted to get a list of the mechanisms that you showed us,
I can. Yeah, she can email me. Yeah.
Okay, Ellen, you're empowered. Thanks, Suzanne.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks so much. I'll see you when I ride by in a couple days. I'll wave at your house.
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right, and our headliner, Massimo Misseroli, who in Turin, and Massimo is Massimo was gonna host a conference in April that Suzanne was to speak at, and literally Turin shut down because of the virus, and they had to cancel the conference the week before the conference. So a pretty hard hit. But Massimo has produced an artist book this year that he is making available. And he's also worked a how-to book, and it's also a history book. Massimo is Italian, and Italian is his primary language. So he recorded a video for us today that also includes an avatar who is speaking as Massimo. So Emily, cue the video.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I can speak really bad English, so my avatar will be speaking for me. Bye.
My name is Massimo Misseroli, and I'm here as a pop-up designer. I'm 63 years old and I'm a retiree. I worked as a part-time cashier in a bank for 42 years. I was born in 1957. The same year David Carter and Ray Marshall were also born. I'm in good company. I think 1957 was a good year for paper engineers. Although I worked at the bank in the mornings, in my spare time I cultivated different passions. Afternoons are long, as well as Saturdays, Sundays and holidays. I started collecting pop-up books at the age of 20, and this was the first three-dimensional page I saw in my life as a collector. I noticed it because this book was open in the window of a bookshop in my town. That's how pop-ups and I started our story. I don't know how many books I've collected in these 43 years. I think around 5,000. When I got to 3,000 I stopped counting them and never even cataloged them. I remember them all, and many of them are linked to many anecdotes of the paper engineers I have known over the years. In the 80s I taught photography to children and teachers. That rather strange photography, made with pinhole camera and shoeboxes. Then I taught how to make flip books and cartoons with percinema machines. Later I taught how to make video documentaries, and then one day, some teachers from a nursery school asked me to make a pop-up card with Santa Claus. It was 1991. I didn't even know how to make a paper fold. I had a lot of pop-ups, but I never thought about making one. Now, with the internet, anyone can learn all techniques with templates and tutorials. But so what? I lived in Italy, far from the Los Angeles of Intervisual or the London of David Pelham. Those were other times. Kubasta was still alive. There was no Amazon. There was no YouTube. So, peeking through tabs and folds, I tried and tried again and made my first pop-up card. Honestly, the result was really mediocre, but I had fun. The teachers had fun and, above all, the children had fun. This first experiment stimulated me and I started making more and more. But let's go back to the 80s. In 1984 I founded an association that dealt with image education, and during the days of the book fair, Bologna became my home. I had started attending the International Children's Book Fair in Bologna when I was 18 years old. I had been visiting it for 45 years and I had rented a booth for 25 years in a row. I will be at the fair with a booth also next year, and you are all invited to come and visit me. Attending the fair gave me the chance to see many pop-up books that I couldn't find in Italian bookstores, because the translated books were very few, but above all it allowed me to meet many of the people who, with Waldo Wally Hunt, contributed to the second golden age of pop-up books. In 1992 I founded a Center for the Diffusion and Promotion of Pop-up Books. Il Libro ha tre dimensioni. The book has 3 dimensions. And I started to organize exhibitions, workshops, various activities all related to pop-ups. Activities that I still propose today with the Project Pop-Up Show, in collaboration with Matteo Faglia. Last year Pop-Up Show was hosted at the Shanghai Book Fair. Today, I also collaborate with the Museum of School and Children's Book, Musli, in Turin, and I thank its director, Professor Pompeo Valiani, for giving me the opportunity to work with them, especially as regards the project during the quarantine due to coronavirus, that allowed many children to make many pop-up cards. Going back to my projects as a pop-up designer, I was very lucky because, after only 3 months, I signed my first contract with the company Compass Production of Arnold Shapiro, Pat Paris and Keith Mosley. In the following year both Disney Press and Intervisual Communication tested some of my projects. A great result for a bank teller. The first publication, however, came only after 6 years, in 1998, produced by Intervisual for Little Simon and illustrated by Scary. The same year I started working with the German publisher Schreiben Verlag, which had been the publishing house of Middendorfer in the 19th century. In my work as a pop-up designer I have published 18 books, some of them printed in various languages. My books are very simple. They are for children. My cartography is very similar to the descriptive pop-ups of the 70s and 80s. The child plays with the pages, reads a few lines, then looks at the pop-up image or pulls the tabs. So he is accompanied to the reading. There will always be a game and a happy moment for him. I'm affectionate to all the books I've made, even the unpublished ones, but I really love some of them. The first one is Pinocchio. For the first time I was a designer as well as a paper engineer. In 2004 this book received a nomination for the Middendorfer Award. My Pinocchio pop-up arrived in bookstores on October 15, 2002. Exactly 70 years after Lenz's Pinocchio, the book for which the term pop-up was first used. On October 15, 1932. The second book I want to remember is the one I made on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the Parisian headquarters of the fashion house Kenzo. I am very happy because my pop-up realization of his drawing Japan in Paris has been chosen and it has been included in a book that collects the photographs of the most important photographers in the world who have documented his fashion shows. The directors of the Museum of Modern Art in New York also liked this pop-up and printed a breakfast placemat with the picture of this pop-up. Another particular book is The Nativity that I realized starting from a frame of a cartoon produced for our national TV network. Rai, by Studio Rastrego e Testa. The pop-up was developed from a single frame. While in a cartoon we see 30 frames per second. The book shows the Nativity design by one of the most important Italian illustrators, Emanuele Lozzi, and can be kept open even before Christmas, because the baby Jesus appears only when the comet rises. Then, on January 6th, the three wise men also appear. Pulling another tab, the book has been reprinted for the 4th time. And most likely next year we will reach the 5th. Because it is sold out again. And now the last pop-up I want to present to you. It will be published in November and has several peculiarities. The first one, it will be self-financed and printed in a few hundred copies. I couldn't find publishers, so I became the publisher. Actually, this was my first pop-up project. I had prepared the dummy a few months after I started making the first folds, in 1992, and it had been evaluated by Abrams Publishing House. But they didn't print it. 30 years later, Professor Paolo Rambelli, from the University of Bologna, heard about this dummy and suggested that I should dust off the project. So we reviewed it together in view of the celebration of Dante's 700th anniversary, which will start all over the world in a few months and will last until December 31st, 2021. A curious anecdote I was told is that 160 years ago Dore did something similar to what I am doing today. Not finding publishers for his Inferno plates, which were too expensive. He accepted the suggestion of Hachette to market them, but he would have to bear the printing costs. Dore believed in his book and had it printed at his own expense. And this was the right choice. The book was very successful. It sold out in a few days and Hachette reprinted it. That's what Dore did, and that's what I decided to do. Because Dante represents to me the possibility to express my idea of pop-up today. And I found many collaborations to realize it. a prestigious Italian musician, Marco Sabio, has realized the soundtrack of the book, a soundtrack that will accompany the reader for the whole time of reading. You can listen with smartphone or tablet in Dolby Surround, better in headphones to appreciate the audio effects. While working on this project, I learned that in 1911, in Italy, 2 films had been shot about Dante's Inferno. 2 colossal films for that time. And both directors were inspired by Gustave Doré's tables. One of these films is kept in the Vatican Film Library, and I was allowed to include a few minutes of the film in the book. Finally, the company Arlupa Incorporated, specialized in augmented reality, made the idea of a multimedia book real. I thank Mr. Armenian, CEO and co-founder, who helped and supported me, and thanks to all the staff of Arlupa. So in Dante's Inferno you can go through the pop-up pages, you can read the commentary and several songs from the Divine Comedy, you can listen to an original soundtrack, and you can watch fragments of 2 films that belong to the history of cinema. I hope you like this project. I don't know of any other pop-ups with these characteristics, but if you know of them I would be glad to know, so that I can include them in my collection. Starting from November, this pop-up will be on Amazon. On Amazon you can also find a book about my 3-dimensional adventure, with an augmented reality course where I teach how to make pop-ups only with a drawing of a little house like this. This course was born about 25 years ago from an intuition that allowed me to teach pop-ups to over 8,000 students, including children and teachers. If you want, you can follow me on my Facebook or Instagram profiles or on my website. Goodbye from Italy and stay safe.